Sunday night, I'd watch the practice with none of my friends. I'd turn the dial to ABC to see the creep of the week that Bobby Donald defends. But I'm out of practice.
With your host, Keith Barney.
Out of practice.
And I suppose old man Mike Deglio.
Way back in
It's
high
the
school,
birthday boy.
most every night, my mom watched QVC, so I missed the practice. There was no TiVo, what could I do? Wait 15 years, get fat, then stream it on Hulu. Out of practice.
Mike traveled to the ends of the earth to avoid his birthday humiliation on the podcast. It didn't work.
Out of practice.
CEO Jen made me promise to get drunk. And so here we go.
Out of practice.
And welcome back to the Out of Practice podcast, a weekly podcast in which me and my buddy Mike, we tease each other, but occasionally we talk about the practice. David E. Kelly's award-winning series, The Practice. This week we are up to season 7, episode 11. And for you, no time has passed because we dropped episodes every week, even though Mike and I took 2.5 weeks off. So we are back. Mike is ship-lagged. He is birthdayified. How's it going, birthday boy? What are you, 41 now?
40 fun. It was cool. I was away, like Keith said. It's been a while for us, so I was even trying to remember how to relaunch SpaceX here, Keith, was a morning of events. What's cool about when you do so I was traveling Spain and Portugal. We'll talk a little bit about it for the first week plus, and then I had a full 7-day transatlantic crossing in which I lived on a boat with some really fascinating people. This is a really interesting cruise. I'm excited to talk about it a little bit. But what they do is instead of just like jet lagging you get. I had 6 25-hour days because they would drop an hour every night, right? Which you would think would catch you up. I was taking some Xanax, so I'd try to get the appropriate amount of sleep, which was working, I thought. But the final night of the crossing was my birthday, and during the show we had to perform on my birthday. One of my castmates told the entire cruise that it was my birthday.
Oh, no.
That evening, people were buying me drinks, and I was drinking them, and then I had to wait.
Buying it was free. So they were just
for
No.
them. Yes. No, the I don't know how to be honest with you. The bars are not free. This is not an all-inclusive type of cruise situation.
Oh God.
Anyhow, regardless, they were free to me. And so we had to disembark the ship at like 6:30 a.m. Long story short, I was hella hungover, and then they flew us into Newark, and then I had to drive myself back home. So it was a whole thing. And then CEO Jen did a whole birthday thing. So it's Monday. I don't know where I am, what time it is, but what I do know is that we're back, baby.
Mike is hungover.
Yeah, I'm still hungover, and I'm so thankful that I took my PTO with an extra day because I need today.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, congratulations on your birthday. Should you open your present now, or should we wait till let's open your present now and then you can talk about your trip.
Okay,
yeah?
Great. I'm supposing my present is this video you told me not to watch.
Is this video that we're here to celebrate you and your birthday.
Wait, hold on.
Hold on.
Fill for time, Keith, because what I realize is that I'm going to have to change this so that people can hear it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that was nonetheless, I am certainly excited.
I did it.
You did it. Wow.
Man, that was faster than my normal.
I didn't even have to say what I was excited about. You were so fast. Because I was gonna lie, I wasn't excited. I'm not really excited about anything. So but I'm excited to see your present here.
Well, let me guess here. Let me do the fun. So we've gotten viewer submitted cameos before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've had you splice me into the practice with
That's right.
with cameos by your wife and other Broadway celebs. I don't know what this year could entail. I made you a shitty video one year of just like random explosions, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, lower those expectations, but please.
Like
please
20
enjoy.
20 minutes ago, Keith was like, "Oh shit, I guess I should do something."
We're going to throw it back to the 90s and take a look at Mike's birthday present.
Mike, it is your birthday.
Mike, it is your birthday.
Mike, it is your birthday. Mike, it is your birthday. Mike, it is your birthday.
Wait, what was that last guitar riff? Was that Jill?
No, that was your wife. That's CEO Jen.
Oh wait, hold on.
Yes, this is a collaboration.
Mike, it is your birthday.
Mike, it is your birthday.
And of course, this is
Mike, it is your birthday. Mike, it is your birthday. Mike, it is your birthday.
Fuck yeah. Fuck
with
yeah.
you are sharing your birthday with many other important mics who we saw in there. If you missed it, important mics like Mike Pompeo, Michael Vick, Michael Jackson.
No, not normal
Mike
Michael
Cohen,
Jackson, like Michael Jackson
Mike
after
Pence.
full crazy.
Oh yeah, that's his mugshot actually.
Yeah, that was that was awesome. Can you put that on the Instagram, please? Because that needs to live in infamy.
I will definitely put that on the Instagram and thank CEO Jen for being willing. I just sent her. I did the exact same thing I do with you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I texted her and I sent her a voice memo. All right, here's what I need. No context. No more information. I did you just say Mike in this rhythm and then just sing Mike, it is your birthday. Like just give me a few different options. No context. No explanation.
Oh man, that was awesome. All right.
There it is. Here to celebrate Mike's 41st birthday. Now it is time to do what we do for all of our family on their birthday. We listen to their long-winded stories about their vacation, hopefully with a slideshow.
No.
Mike, take it away.
Mike did not prep the pictures, but I'll get a few choice ones for you for next week. So it was cool. This was my first real gig back with this group of Schmerzy boys. I'm in I was in a few, and then one of them ghosted me, which is good news because that's the one I was less than pleased with. I
You mean the one that gave you COVID?
Yeah,
Or tried to?
tried their damnedest. Damn well tried their hardest. So yeah, what's cool about I don't know if I've mentioned it on the pod before. The way this group kind of works is there's like a stable of 12 to 16 guys, and depending on who's available or like dumb enough to get on a cruise ship during COVID, they mix and match. So I was touring with did this 20 some day stint with, or I guess it was almost 3 weeks, so 18 days. With a dude I'd done the show with before, and then two new guys I'd never met before. Just incredibly talented. One guy he was in Spider-Man, which I got all the Spider-Man juice.
Yeah.
He was in that recent Pippin, which was great. Like he's just one of the sickest voices I've ever heard. I'm going to ask his permission. I'm going to play a clip of he does a Whitney Houston tribute at the end of the two because she's a Jersey girl. I don't know how. They loosely work it in, and he does "I Will Always Love You," but then he does these options. His voice is sick. Adam Roberts. I don't know if you know him.
I don't know him.
Well, you should. Yeah, he should be on some of your demos because he's got a Keith Varney-esque range. Anyhow,
Cool.
it was, and they were also really nice guys, and even cooler than that, I guess there was also Lincoln Center had a string quartet on ship as well, and between them they spoke like 16 languages. They were incredibly talented. There was a dance troupe aboard, a comedian, another pianist, and then the house band who played with us. And everybody was just so like thankful to be working again that the atmosphere was very, very collaborative and sharing, and everybody was going to each other's shows and supportive. It's just like not how the business generally works. So it was like really kind of magical in that way. However, within days, now we weren't crew, but the crew wasn't allowed to get off the ship, right? They were, because they had like strict rules and stuff surrounding COVID.
Right.
But within the first week, crew members were being disembarked. Some passengers were being disembarked for positive cases. And by the end of the trip, over 100 people were quarantined. Not over 100 people were positive, but they were quarantined because of possible contact tracing and whatnot here. And so it just goes, and this was a fully vaccinated crew and passenger list.
Right.
Fully vaccinated, all the, like masks, the entire, everywhere you went. I mean, they did it right, but it, Petri dish, it is what it is.
Well, this is what happens when 40% of your country decides not to get vaccinated. You allow the disease to flourish and keep going and mutate and become more powerful and more resistant to stuff because you selfish dum-dums have decided, let's make this permanent, as opposed to let's all kill it at once.
Because, and the cruise, there had been talk about just disembarking all and just like making it a quarantine boat and then just like shutting the ship down for a while. But obviously said cruise line is not going to do that because they need to make that money. And because Florida is Florida, where we got off, thank God, was in Fort Lauderdale. But now they have to allow some unvaccinated passengers on because Florida said they have some injunction or whatever that won't allow the cruise line to put that injunction. So it's all hell's going to break loose.
Ow, my brain hurts.
I was happy to come home.
Yeah.
But I got to go to, we went to Barcelona, we went to Madrid, we went to Sevilla, and then I went to Portugal where I've never been before. So Lisbon, and then Funchal. Awesome. Some great experiences. It was really fun to perform and to be back and meet some incredible people. It was fun. What I'm taking away from it is that Papa took almost 2 years off of playing his guitar and singing and needs to get his chops back. So that's what I will take away, because I sang twice. I sang 4 45-minute sets over the course of 2 weeks and blew myself into oblivion. So I have some work to do.
Time to start doing them vocal push-ups?
Yeah, it's time, because
yeah.
I'm also old, which I think is a factor. I was singing with some young guys I have some work to do. But that's great. Motivation is great.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like part of that was really fun, and part of that also happened.
The other thing I'll say quickly, as I do a podcast on the internet, is that because the internet's so shitty in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, for this entire past week, I had my phone in a drawer. I didn't watch television. I didn't go on the internet. I didn't text. I just listened to music and walked around and read. And then the second we got back stateside and I saw everybody's face get buried in a screen again, it became very clear to me how fucked up my relationship with technology is, and how I need to sort of address that in some sort of small way. Obviously, my livelihood depends on it, so and all of my hobbies, but
and human connection.
Yeah,
I
need to like look at it. I need to look at like what's necessary and what can maybe be curated a bit more.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I make more eye contact with you on my screen than I do with any other human being in all of my space and time.
And I think we need to address our intimacy, Keith.
That wasn't what I was expecting, but it's your birthday, so here we are.
Shall we? You know what I would like for my birthday, Keith? I have one ask of you.
Oh, do tell.
Let's watch a TV show together and talk about it. Okay,
that sounds great. Should we do the rest of the show that we've planned, or should we just?
And I'm going to
All
try
right.
to like be intelligent and well spoken today.
Why start now? All right, let's hear from people who are more intelligent and well spoken in our friends in a segment we call
Filings and Subpoenas. Filings and Subpoenas. Filings and Subpoenas. Filings and Subpoenas.
I'll adjust. Okay, so oh, there I am. So, of course, we have heard from some of our good friends, and some of them in multiple languages.
Ooh.
In fact, our good friend and moderator, Phoenix. Now, I don't know. It's been a long time for us, so people are probably still celebrating, even though we've moved on.
Yeah.
From our being number 240 something in Portugal.
Oh, baby, I sang a beautiful song in the middle of some like ancient amphitheater in Portugal, and I think that brought us way back up. I think we're like we got to be 100 now.
Oh, I mean, in the subgenre of whatever we are. So of course, Phoenix wrote to us in Portuguese. Would you believe it?
I would.
Would you like to read the Phoenix's Portuguese?
I don't have it in front of me. So
Since you've been to Portugal, I would. I was trying to figure out, like, is it more offensive or less offensive that I try to read it? I'm not going to, but I did translate it. And Phoenix said, "In my father's native language." His father's native language is Portuguese.
Yeah, that's right.
He said, and he continues, "I wish you congratulations on your notoriety." And I feel notoriety is the right word, because I remember one of my family had, I forget we were playing, it wasn't Scrabble or Pictionary. What was I forgot the name, where you come up with a word that, I don't know, whatever.
Balderdash?
Not Balderdash. It's
Taboo?
really fun. I play it all the time. Not taboo. It's where the word starts with a letter. Like you have to all things with it are T, and then
And you roll that little die to come up with the letter.
Yeah.
No
What
idea,
the hell's
but
that
I know what
called?
you're talking
All
about.
right. There's two people listening to us. It's
Fascinating.
obviously whatever. We're playing that game, and we had a long debate about the definition of notorious. Whether notorious had a negative connotation, whether you could be evil.
Is it a pejorative?
Yeah, if you're notorious for it, does that make you villainous or not? But I think we came down that there's clearly a correlation between if you are notorious for something as opposed to famous for something, like the notorious leader of the whatever who
Versus
invaded
infamous,
whatever.
right? Yeah.
Versus infamous versus, right. So I think, too, we are notorious. I think that feels appropriate.
Absolutely.
Because it has a little bit of villainy in it. Also, we heard from our good friend Jorge Navoa, who has something that he's going to be cooking for us, but not for this week. Perhaps next week we're going to find out. But he says about your performance of the Shmuel song, the ending of the Shmuel song always gets me. Then again, so do about 7 other songs in that show. Great performance. Yeah.
Earned us a well-deserved YouTube strike.
It wasn't a strike. It was just a demonetization, and
So
we weren't in any danger of
Victimless
monetizing.
crime and a penaltyless crime
Exactly.
at that
It just means
point.
we're not going to get paid for our incompetence.
Oh, wow.
But we knew that. So, Mike, if other people wanted to get us YouTube strikes by playing stuff for us, how would they do it? That was a terrible transition.
Yeah,
we're
that didn't make
rusty.
any sense.
Of
Well,
course not.
what
It
else
didn't
is
make any sense. I'm just making mouth noises till we're done.
Hey, listen, I haven't been able to get emails for weeks, so send me some outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com. We read the emails, guys. Send them our way. Even if you've already sent a million, cook up another one. If you want to hit us up on the social media, we're at Out of Practice Podcast on Facebook and on Instagram. And hey, don't forget, we're on the YouTube for those of you listening, and I know that many more of you listen than watch the YouTube, and we're just doing it for nothing. But guess what? You can watch us on YouTube and look at these beautifully tanned faces. Face. You can do that by searching Out of Practice Podcast or KME Entertainment on YouTube, and then comment below Moderator Phoenix Cage will get back to you, or maybe we will. On top of that, smash subscribe, smash the notification bell so you can be bothered while you're working to let you know we have more nonsense on the internet.
That's right. I mean, chances are, if you're on the YouTubes, you're probably at work. We're a second screen somewhere. And we would like to be your second screen experience while you're doing your actual job. We'd be honored. All right. Well, thank you very much. It is now time. Are you ready? We have not gotten to the time machine in a while, Mike.
It's true. It's true.
But here we are. We have an opportunity. An opportunity to talk about January 27th, the year 2003. We're going to talk a little bit more about why that date. You know, if you're someone who understands dates, you're like, that doesn't seem right. That's not what it should be. But it is. We're going to talk about it. But first, surprisingly, we're going to talk about ourselves in a segment we call
This Day in the Basement.
Okay. That didn't work. The video didn't play? Okay. Oh, that was good. That went well.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect. All right. So what were you doing January 27th, 2003? 2003. We were in 2002. Now we're in 2003.
CEO Joe wants everybody to recognize she bought me balloons.
Oh,
So
cute.
They are in the shot. She was concerned they wouldn't be in the shot. They aren't in the two shot because Michigas is happening, but they are in the wide. Just so you know, honey.
Beautiful. And so beautifully out of focus with your excellent lens there. How many millimeters what kind of lens are you using to get me
this
that
is a
depth of
I believe
focus?
This is a 35 millimeter lens, but because of it's a crop factor of like 1.2, so it's sort of like it's closer to 50 with that nifty 50. Anyway.
Wow. Very good.
Two things I want to mention about this date, because as I've mentioned before, I jumped a year, and so basically everything's out of skew. So I'm still in school. We're wrapping up. We're getting ready to wrap up. But January 27th was my girlfriend at the time's birthday. But I think I've mentioned that our breakup ended up being kind of one-sided. But this was her birthday, and I knew that I was like heading in that direction, and so it's really like. Remember that torturous phase? I'm not used to it because I generally do not do the breaking up. I'm usually the breakup-y, but this was like that feeling of like pang because I know I probably should not have like gone through the motion of the birthday and knowing that I was like going down a breakup route, but I did it anyway because like I was sort of a coward and young and like so that
I'm
isn't
very familiar with that. Yes.
Yes, that's not a memory I particularly care for because the feeling feels dirty and like sort of like what's the word? I guess I don't have a
It's a
good word
birthday
for it.
of lies.
Yeah, just like it's not dishonesty. It is, but it's like emotional dishonesty. I mean, you still care for a person, but you don't, and you know where your head, like where the road is leading. But it's like people who are like, I can't believe he broke up with me on Christmas, and you're like, yeah, but like, what do you want him to? What's the alternative? They just lie through the holiday.
Yeah,
No, it's an interesting, weird dynamic. By the way, I'm just gonna quick throw this in there. Speaking of that,
yeah.
I downloaded a bunch of shows to watch while I was gone. And I know this is an entirely different segment, but I downloaded a little show, Keith, I think you will love. It's on Showtime, so maybe you can find it off the back of a truck somewhere. But it's called Couples Therapy. And it is legitimately, it follows this one therapist, and these couples have signed off to let their very intimate couples therapy be filmed.
Real.
It is real.
It's a documentary, not because there was In Treatment was a great show.
Yes,
of fake therapy,
and this follows, and they're not all successful, obviously, just by statistically. But it is, if you're one of those people who's like, oh, therapy's not for me, or you don't kind of have that personal experience. This is the best documentation I've seen visually of what the work is like. So I recommend it. It's on Showtime. There are 2 full seasons. The 3rd season's coming out next year. It's called Couples Therapy. They're 9 episodes each of like 40 minutes, so it's very bingeable. And it is a great, great show. Couples Therapy, Showtime. All right.
cool.
The other thing I want to say about January 27th, which I think is really, really cool, is all growing up, my whole life, not just 2003, my whole life, my best friend growing up, Ronnie P., his birthday was January 27th. So like all of my childhood memories are mostly with this guy. And all these years later, in a stroke of just like sort of magic, his children go to school with my brother's children, and 2 of my brother's daughters and 2 of my old best friend's daughters have become best friends.
No kidding.
And so at all the birthday parties and all the things, which I'm now kind of a part of because I've moved back here for a little while temporarily, he's there. So like all these years later, like he's been reintroduced into my life through his children and my brother's children being best friends. It's just like this weird, random spinning of the globe. And you remember that like no matter how far you travel and all these things, like the world is teeny tiny. So his birthday was January 27th as well. So I guess in 2003, I wasn't thinking about him because we had kind of we had lost our we just lost touch. But it wouldn't be long before he would be reintroduced to me. So that's my This Day in the Basement.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm excited about my This Day in the Basement because I went back into the emails and I emailed my father the review, the New York Times review to a certain Broadway musical that I'm just going to read you a little clip of the review and then I'll tell you what the show was and what I did. So this is from the New York Times. Hopes were high that this musical might be in the league of platinum-plated flops like Carrie and Moose Murders, and it's true that there are moments that climb into the stratosphere of legendary badness. No one, even after a quart of straight gin, would be able to erase the memory of Mr. Crawford as a blood-sucking aristocrat and Manny Gonzalez as his toothsome prey, shrieking a revised version of Mr. Steinman's pop hit, Total Eclipse of the Heart. The scene is perfectly accessorized by a phalanx of pasty hooded creatures holding, I swear, what appear to be flashlights beneath their faces like monsters in a homemade spook house. And if you already know, you know. I am, of course, talking about the original Broadway production of Dance of the Vampires.
Oh, I thought you were reading a new member of our jury. I thought that was a review of us.
Yes, indeed. And there's a picture of Michael Crawford and Mandy Gonzalez. So I read this review and I didn't have a lot of money, but I was like, there's no way I am missing this. In fact, I saw in the New York Times this ad that said there's only 11 chances left to see Dance of the Vampires. So guess what? I spent money I didn't have. And of course, I went to go see Dance of the Vampires.
Was it everything you wished it would be?
Oh my God. It was stunning. There's no way to, and I've tried over the years to describe this show and it's impossible.
Who wrote the score? Was it Steinman?
It was Jim Steinman, right. So there's a lot of like
guy.
All the old Meatloaf stuff. Yeah. And it was really, really quite, I mean, it was astounding. And this is Michael Crawford of Phantom fame, and Manny Gonzalez, of course, from In the Heights and Hamilton. And it was this giant show, like spectacular. And the stories behind it will go on forever.
Was it like loosely based on Dracula or anything like that?
It's not Dracula. It's sort of an original-ish story. But yes, it borrows a lot from Dracula. And it is a German colossal hit. It is still running in Germany as Tanz der Vampire, which apparently was a much better version. There's many stories of Michael Crawford and perhaps might have been the one to founder this production. Here is my ticket stub.
Wow, man.
I saw it on January 23rd, 2003. Close. And I also have in my... I keep notes in each playbill of about whatever impressions I had about the show. And what do I do? What do I use for my notes? I cut up my first headshots and use them as note cards.
Yeah, well, at least for a second, you're getting your money's worth, baby. Return on investment, ROI.
Exactly. So I saw this with my roommate, Jenny. I wrote full cast. Nobody was out. It was the last week of the show. And one word, wow. I had nothing else to say about that. But if you can find a boot, it's good because you can get some sense of it, but it was so astoundingly large in production. It's hard to describe all the things that you miss on a bootleg. But it also starred none other than Emmy-nominated practice guest star and Star Trek legend Renee Auberjonois was in that cast doing this crazy patter song. Anyway, whatever you can find about Dance of the Vampires, look it up. It is jaw-dropping. It is a life-changing. It began my obsession with flops. I was like, that was it. I'm now obsessed with this. I've run into many friends who were similarly obsessed. Every time I like meet a cast member, it's all I can do not to like grill them like you did with Spider-Man. So, anyway. So there it is. That's what I was doing. Very memorable. I have a poster, but it's in storage. All right. So let us, before we talk fully about the day in the world, we have some practice news. You know what? I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it. Let's do when we do talk about the episode. But so now let's do.
It's time for the Out of Practice Podcast's This Day in the World. The greatest hits, the biggest movies, headlines from Vermont, essential sports updates, and for some inexplicable reason, the weather from 20 years ago. Now back to Keith and Mike.
Well, folks, we, as I said, are talking about January 27th, the year 2003. We were now only about a month and a half away from the start of the Iraq War, so the Burlington Free Press talked about Powell losing patience. Of course, Colin Powell. The top movie was Darkness Falls, which took in $12 million. I saw it in the theaters, hoping it was going to be The Ring. Guess what? It wasn't. But what we did miss over that time period was Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers came out, which was really good. I saw that in the theaters too, I think in Vermont. Super fun. And the top song, of course, we're all bouncing to it right now. Lose Yourself, Eminem was still dominating the charts. All right, that was definitely worth it to go back. I love I love the transparency. It's kind of scary on Darkness Falls. We both layered stuff over each other's face today. That's it's important.
It's impressive,
all right.
Yeah.
Now it is time for the most important segment of the episode.
It's time for Sports Ball.
We missed a lot as the 2002 playoffs raged during the break. It only seems appropriate to switch music. The New York Football Giants finished the season 10-6, setting up a wild card matchup against Jeff Garcia's San Francisco 49ers in San Fran. With 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter, the Giants were crushing it, up 38-14 and looked unbeatable. Then the wheels came off. The Niners scored 25 unanswered points and pulled ahead 39-38 with 1 minute remaining. But the Giants raced down the field to set up a game-winning 41-yard field goal with 6 seconds remaining. No sweat, right? The snap is bad. The Giants holder panics. No kick. He throws it deep. The receiver is tackled before the ball gets there. Don't worry. It's pass interference. Don't worry. It was only third down. We could have just spiked it and kicked it again. No problem. What's that? We didn't do that? What's that? They didn't call pass interference? Oh my God, what's that? We should have won and had a team capable of making a real Super Bowl run that year, but a bad snap from a long snap aside just days before the game after an injury cost them one of the best teams we've put in the last 20 years. Not salty about this one at all. It's 19 years later. Not salty at all. Meanwhile, the Eagles had a bye and began their playoff run at home versus the Falcons in the divisional round. They won 20-6 over Michael Vick, setting up the NFL championship game at Veterans Stadium in Philly. Win this game and you face the Raiders in the Super Bowl in a rematch of the game that banned Mike from being an Eagles fan for 25 years. They lost.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Oh my God. I'm still in pain over that game.
That was bad, man.
That was real bad. And now I just shouted out the rest of my voice and blew out the mic. I'm not in shape either. All right, these things happen. All right, but you know what else does happen?
I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. And I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's time to talk about the damn episode.
Where is it? God,
I don't know.
You know. Drums. Well,
Drums,
I gotta
drums,
redo all this. I gotta redo it all.
Oh no, Mike's so sad.
I gotta redo all the graphics. I've been trying to just like ride the same OBS preset, but I think I just gotta build it from scratch. But whatever. Anyway, tell me about the episode.
Okay, well, all right. So as I teased before, it is now time to talk about why January 27th feels weird. Because, it's just going to stick in your craw. Like, something about that's not right. That's not right. And I'll tell you why. Because January 27th is not a Sunday. It is, in fact, a Monday. The practice has been moved from Sunday nights to Monday nights. And we didn't know it yet, but this was going to have dire consequences for our show. The ratings on Monday up against Monday Night Football are going to go off a cliff, having some consequences for our dear friends in Boston. But we are not going to talk about that yet. But this is the moment, folks, where the ratings start to crater. Nonetheless, our ratings are also cratering, but we're still going to keep going.
If it's a crater that was created eons ago, Keith, is it cratering or is it already a crater?
It's already,
in our case,
yeah. Well, I
Continue
mean,
to crater. Continue to have been cratered.
And crater is exactly the right term because it means going below zero. Like it's like a flat line, and then we somehow went down
Our
from
impact
a flat line.
was so intense at first that it just blew a hole and we could never escape from it.
All right. Well, this episode, season 7, episode 11, Down the Hatch, is written by David E. Kelly with a story by Cindy Lichmond, who last wrote on Target Practice, and directed by Christina Musray, who last directed on Small Sacrifices. All right. It is finally time to ask Mike a very important question. Took me that long to find it.
What is that
I start
supposed
to
to be?
Obama when I can't find the
What's
cue.
your problem?
Time to...
Is this what
That's
happens
Mike.
to women when you insert your penis?
Very important. Question. What?
What does Mike think's gonna happen?
Birthday edition.
What if he would have drank the curdled milk? Then what would have happened?
Well, Keith, as I drink this mimosa at 1 o'clock on a Monday,
Coke
I ask
Zero,
myself, what could help precipitate the cratering? What might we do to counteract it that fails miserably? And I think, well, what did we do before that was pretty stupid? Well, we made Jimmy a degenerate gambler. So what if we took one of our cast members? I don't know. Let's take one that, I don't know. Let's see. Who would be great to screw up? Well, Rebecca hasn't even been on the show lately, so... and we've already fucked with Lindsay. Bobby's been going nuts. That sort of leaves us. Ellenor. How about Ellenor? We find out is an alcoholic, Keith. She's just an alcoholic degenerate. And gets in some trouble. And we got to pull her out now. All right? So we're going to continue the shark jump with degenerate alcoholic Ellenor, who is... trying a case, and we smell booze on her breath, and she get in some trouble. That's my guess for this week.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's interesting. And how was that sexy?
Well, I mean, it's Cameron. She's sexy.
All right, fair enough. All right,
And she drinks a sexy drink. She doesn't just like guzzle. She's like drinking a Boulevardier. That's
okay,
sexy.
all right.
Right?
Well, we will.
That's a thing, right?
definitely. Oh, sure. we will try to put back the pejorative of degenerate for the very difficult disease of alcoholism that we're not.
No,
We'll take that
hold on. Let me
back.
come back to the 2-shot. The very serious 2-shot.
Very serious.
So that I can
hear you
look you
through
in the
your
eye.
beard.
I can look you in the eye, audience, and say that I'm very sympathetic to the plight, but what I'm saying is that, of course, the show is not going to handle it with the respect it deserves. Ne'er does it ever.
No, of course.
Yes, what I meant is, so Ellenor is an alcoholic, but only for boulevardiers with the very sensitive disease of alcoholism.
No, for sure. It was in canon. That word was used in canon.
Yes, absolutely. And we're finally canceled. Happy
Can't
birthday.
believe it took this long.
Hey, do you want to get canceled with us? You can do so by being associated with us and listening to us. Listen to Season 7 Down the Hatch. We'll catch you back for the canceled OOPSY Awards, where I'm sure none of those videos will work either. After we watch the episode, we'll catch you on the flip.
You know what that's called? That's a doocy don't. Doosu don't. I didn't even do it right. You fucked up
Jesus.
the word. I was going to make fun of you. I couldn't even say it wrong right.
Well, it's been a few weeks. And we are back, baby.
We are back, and now it is time for our most birthdayed after show yet. And we begin with one of my favorite segments. It's one we call...
2, 3, 4. Mike has 30 seconds to remember what just happened on the show. Segment.
Oh, baby, the countdown's not here, but I'm going to give it to you real quick. We're suing drinking because a poor boy lost his life. Is the industry at fault at a whole? And also, we're making a lady go off her meds and go into a really manic state so that we can possibly save her life. Shit's going to continue.
Yeah, wow. Wow, it was exciting. All right, can you do that again? Just, fewer syllables.
I'm going to try, but I don't think any of the things are working, so let's see. what
Fun.
happens. Oh, okay, that's good. And we're back. Oh, that didn't work correctly.
Great, just leave it there. It's perfect.
Booze Biz finally pay. A bunch of questions this week, Keith. Booze Biz finally pays? Question mark. Gotta be crazy to live? Question mark. Where is Rebecca? Question mark.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Agreed on all counts. Now, do we have some sort of award show that we do at the end of these things?
I vaguely remember something.
Does it have like a jingle or
Ladies
a
and
thing?
gentlemen,
There it is.
Oh, that
Out
worked.
of Practice podcast, in unofficial, unsolicited, unfactual association with David E. Kelly Productions, proudly present
Oopsie.
The Oopsies! Celebrating excellence in acting good, lawyering good, guesting good, and being Tom Brady. Not to mention, this is where we rate the episode and stuff. Now, here are your hosts, Keith and Mike.
What the hell are the oopsies?
Well, Jackie, they are a fake award show that always begins with, listen, folks, listen, lean in. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, you have to answer the question.
Well, hey guys, we are like really rich now because of Eugene and Jimmy. And Eugene not only did great lawyering, he held up a big picture and he like planned B'd, but he planned A'd the plan B'd. It was like a primary plan B. Some would call it a plan A, I guess. And then, on top of his excellent lawyering skills, Keith, he used his, I'm guessing, dramatic dead brother's intuition to gut feel that the 1.6 was a mere pittance compared to what he could feel in the sheer energy of the courtroom. So for his sixth financial sense, for his justice for his brother, and for holding up a gigantic picture, I think Eugene Young is the most valuable lawyer.
Yeah, no, obviously. Eugene killed it, and so mostly for holding up the not CGI'd picture, it's Eugene Young winning your most valuable lawyer. Next up, everybody stretch. We don't have to do the Durst this time. Here we go.
Already famous cause you've been on TV, getting a paycheck, first entry on your IMDb.
Been so long.
Way to go, but you're the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor on the episode.
I think I hurt myself. Guys, it's a no-brainer. Keith, tell them what they've won.
Well, it is one of the rare guest actors on The Practice, not universal, not exclusive, but one of the rare ones that I own an action figure of.
What?
It's Alfre Woodard.
Woo!
This is her from Star Trek First Contact.
Amazing.
Here it is, Lily. We'll talk about her in an upcoming episode of Look at My Star Trek Toys. But for now, I mean, yes, obviously we will have a lot to say about Alfre Woodard's performance when we see the completed arc of her descent into her mental illness, and we try to rescue her, probably coming up next week on The Practice, because it was a to be continued. But yeah, I mean, what a showcase. Excited to see where it goes, because this was sort of like laying a lot of groundwork. But very excited to see where this goes. Couldn't have handed it to a more capable actor. Congratulations, Alfre Woodard, on your Best Guest Actor Part 1 on The Practice. Coming up next, let's get our tears out.
You killed your podiatrist or blew the case, but you let a single tear run down your face. You're the best actor on the show.
I think we mentioned it. Steve Harris was great. He's always great. Michael Bottaluca was great. Steve really had a great, I think, latter half of the episode specifically. That like courtroom scene was cool. But I think Cameron, this is her episode, and we've talked about this before, and this is another example when the magic that really happens when and it's usually Cameron they give these honors to, because she's earned it. When they put her on set with just another dynamic actor, sparks fly. And this is one of those, these are not like, because this is the beginning of the descent, as you said, Keith, it's not like sparks are flying. We're not throwing chairs. We're not, nothing, there's nothing bombastic. However, just two people at the height of their craft, trading lines, existing in the world together, coupled with great direction that shows a progress and expresses some internal things externally, visually. Just some great scene work by Cameron, and I think she gets the OOPSY this week.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Cameron is always amazing, and she did terrific work here, and but I feel like this is the prelude, and for me, I think it's Steve Harris's episode.
Great.
I think, I would have liked the subtext with the brother to have been layered in a little bit more than it was. It felt a little shoehorned at the last second, but that's not his fault. We'll talk about that more in the oopsies. But for me, it's Steve Harris. So we are split this week. with Cameron Manheim and Steve Harris. Coming up, the man does no splits, but it is a pretty good quarterback sneak.
The Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
It was so nice to watch them lose yesterday, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I did on my flight, and it was excellent. Keith, oh man, I'm going to give you a nice one. So this is the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady is Tom Brady's descent into madness. Whilst riding a shark.
Tom Brady's descent into madness whilst riding a shark wins the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady. Hooray!
Oh, shit.
That'll be fun.
You're going to be... oh, my God. I cannot wait for the OOPSY Awards because you're going to be so fucking pissed off at me.
Oh, my God. No, we're not...
The first three, you're going to have so much fun, and then it's just going to be just like bullshit.
Yeah, it always is. It always is. But that's why I'm going to play your rap like 6 times.
I deserve it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And possibly just the isolated audio of just the rap without the music. Because that would be by far the best part. All right, folks, let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce how many spare tires this episode gets.
So I feel like a broken record. I've said this a few times. I think the questions we pose here are really interesting, in both cases. I really am interested by the premise of both cases. I think the performances across the board, excellent. So already we are starting strong. I think the direction as a whole was very strong. The writing's where I think it's let down a little bit. I think you alluded to it. Motivations, we get that one scene where like Eugene's just staring at a picture of his brother, and that's supposed to do a lot of the heavy lifting into the second act. And the reason why it bothers me a little bit is I understand it. I think as emotional, I love any sort of backstory we get with Eugene. I like to know a little bit about the divorce. I like to know a little bit about, I think he's a very complex character. I enjoy as much lore as we can get. The problem I have with it is that pretty universally, regardless of, Eugene is the opposite of Bobby, right? He doesn't bring that shit into the courtroom generally. He doesn't let it cloud his judgment generally, which is why we always pick him. We want him on our side, right?
Right.
And so here it feels a little kind of out of character that he would turn down 1.6 million. He seemed pretty adamant that they had lost this judgment, right? That was what and then the direction and the acting leads me to believe that his gut wasn't his gut. It was he wanted to stick it to him, right? So unless there was some divine intervention he was getting from his brother, which would be kind of schlocky, which is sort of, I'm sort of inferring, which feels a little schlocky. It seems, though we win, it seems like Jimmy was right. It feels like that was a bad decision on Eugene's part, a really un-Eugene decision. And then we decide, and I want to discuss this with you as writers, we then reward it, right? Because I think maybe rather than like what could have happened or should have happened or what should have happened dramatically, I think they were feeling like we need a win. We need a win for Eugene. We need a win for the season. Let's. Whereas in this one case, like we always talk, it's the opposite. Had they lost and Eugene had done fucked up for this family, maybe that would have felt, we've already trod that beat a couple times. We did it with Bobby. We did it with, we've gone down that road. So maybe they were just like, we need to do something different. Maybe they'd kind of written themselves in the season up into a corner. So I'm left a little like, I'm glad we won. But then like Eugene does a look to Jimmy afterwards. This like smile and smirk that like felt a little hokey to me, even from Steve. I don't know. I didn't dislike it. I just feel a little like that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel like that's how that would have gone. But he did say to the family that maybe they decided, or Jimmy said, maybe they just decided to stick it to him right away, and that's turns out is what happened. So, okay. We don't really answer. I don't believe the answer. Like, I get we're just sticking it to them, but it's funny that we did almost the same exact thing happened in another case, and then they threw away the judgment, right? So
Right.
what was different this time? And I guess that's what you were saying before. Like, we should try to pick apart beat by beat what was different and if that's earned dramatically. So I'm on a fence about it. In the other case, a really interesting question, and generally 9.5 times out of 10, I'd say this is more ethically wrong. We should not do this to this woman. However, when we juxtapose that with it's her literal life on the line, and
Right.
I think they did a decent job justifying that her change and what. Look, hard to say this. Taking our feelings about like whether we should have the death penalty at all off the table, and just looking at, look, we have it, and this woman's on death row. Does she deserve to live? I know your argument's gonna be everybody deserves to live. So, but I'm taking this viewpoint of just in this case. I think they did an admirable job of justifying the warden's position at least, and enumerating the that we've exhausted our other options. And I think the most interesting wrinkle is in the seed that's planted, let alone whether she gets off or not. But how do we then pull her back from the new prison we've put her in? Right? Is saving someone's life, but making that life in a sort of literal hell that they believe is what they want now? That's a great ethical question. That's a great quandary to put us in. And so that's one of I think, most interesting plot beats we've had all season. Maybe in the series. You know, we've had another death penalty case that we loved with Jimmy, and this one's shaping up to be equally fascinating. So I'm pretty happy with where we have been in this episode. I thought everything was good. Yes, the Rebecca thing's pissing me off, but I'm trying not to let that cloud everything. So I'm going to say 8.42 spare tires.
Yeah. Let me. I'll work backwards. Let me talk about Alfre Woodard's case first, since that's what we're talking about. Yeah, I really like this case and this idea. For a lot of different reasons. One, we're talking about a bigger picture thing. We're talking about an injustice. We're talking about a difficult moral quandary, for everybody, and that there's the ethical issues. You talked about putting her in a second prison. I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, ethically, that's terrible. But in order to save her life, that's because it changes the context of it. And whether or not somebody who is schizophrenic and committed their crime during a bout of schizophrenia should be liable in the same way as somebody else. I mean, we're getting people off by reasons of insanity right and left on this show. How did she end up on death row if she was in a schizophrenic haze when she committed the act? But that's a thing that happens all the time. It's happening in real life constantly. And so bringing our attention to it, I like it. I like giving Alfre Woodard the chance to perform this. I love the casting. I love having it be against Ellenor. I'm very curious to see where it goes. But I definitely, I like that very much. And I think I'll save talking about the specifics of the case and what's going on there till after next episode, where we see where it's all going. But I like where we're headed. I like the road that we are on. The alcohol case is very interesting, especially since 2003 me and me today would have very different points of view on this case. 2003 me would be very much on Eugene's side and very much on the side of, yeah, let's get these bad guys. Whereas today, and I think this was a missed opportunity with the episode, we sort of put the alcohol industry in the same bucket as the tobacco industry or the asbestos or something like that. And I don't think it's the same, regardless of what you feel about the industry and the liability of, it's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that they relatively well articulated pushing back on that idea, but winning the case the way we did felt muddy to me in terms of what is the show's point of view. Now, of course, because of the soundboard, I have to write my notes by hand, like somebody from the 90s. So I don't know if I'll know this, but I think there's a couple distinctions between, if I were going to go to alcohol and cigarettes, A, being inherently addictive, as opposed to being biologically either nature or nurture, some combination, predisposed to addictive. It is addictive, but it's not inherently so in the way, and not intentionally so, like it is in tobacco. Also, when used as directed, it's not harmful to you in the way that tobacco is, or asbestos, or some of these things which are, when used as directed, harms you. And so then, is it dangerous? You're damn right. And I thought that, Eugene's talking about how alcohol is an influencing factor in so many of these things, murders and deaths, and that's very sobering, and that's something, that the alcohol industry must be aware of and must have some accountability in trying to mitigate the effects of. But so are cars. When used as directly, a car is not unsafe, but it kills tons of people when not used responsibly, when used by somebody too young, when used by somebody impaired, so on and so forth. So I don't think it quite bears out. The other question that I had, just from the standpoint of the writing, of the believability of it, was the plaintiff's standing to make this lawsuit. From the standpoint of, I think they did name check sort of immunity of alcohol companies from lawsuit, that kind of stuff. But I think, and because they weren't really making an argument about what they did wrong, other than the advertising part. But that's sort of all been, that's all been legislated before. That's all been addressed before. And beyond that, from the standing point of view, why were they allowed to sue this particular brewery? And, just because that's the one my kid drank before, it wasn't even the thing that killed, because, it transferred to hard alcohol. That's what ended up killing him. It wasn't even the thing that killed him. It was like, you're suing marijuana for heroin, under the false pretense that marijuana is a gateway drug, right? Which is not, but that was sort of the thought of it. And it's not the same thing. So I just don't understand how the standing would happen here. I don't understand how this would be the verdict. I don't understand how the judge wouldn't have thrown this out. Maybe that'll be addressed in an appeal. It doesn't seem like that's coming. And I didn't understand the show's point of view. Are we supposed to be rooting for this? I'm a little unsure. We're supposed to be happy? I don't know. I thought that could have been better articulated. It seemed like somebody had an axe to grind on this. And, I know I'm aware that I'm on the opposite side that I usually am in these cases. I'm always on the side of taking down the big corporation for their shitty behavior and the underdog. I'm always on that side, but this side I think is just a little bit different. And would have liked to seen that articulated just a little bit better. From a writing standpoint, the Eugene's brother thing felt very shoehorned in. I would have liked to have seen that worked in beforehand. There was mention of his brother a couple episodes back, but that was the first time we didn't even know he had a brother for the first 6 seasons of the series. And now, if you're going to introduce the brother and give him this backstory that's motivating Eugene, you need to do it a little bit better than they did here. The last thing I'm going to say is the financial windfall. Again, they did preface it by saying we're not going to see this money for a long time. But the financial windfall for the firm is a really big deal if this pans out. And I would have liked to have seen set that up better too. Because we mentioned a little bit that we weren't doing so well with our bills or whatever. But if you're going to do, like, we're going to get a big financial win, set it up. Have season 7 be about we're hemorrhaging money. We're going to have to start firing somebody. We have these big problems. So that earning $30 million conceptually doesn't feel like that big of a deal, and it should be. It should be a big deal that you have a storytelling opportunity. Because we started off this series with, like, how are we going to stay open financially? Then we do okay. And all right, so we're going to have a dip. Let's have a dip. Let's make that a story. And then let's get the win and let's be satisfied by it. So it felt like there's just some, I really like the concept, just some missed opportunities there.
Well, that goes to the writing as a whole. Like, and I know it's hard to write seasons of a show when you don't know if you're going to be continued or canceled, and in this type of serialized nature or week-to-week nature. I get it. But, a difference between the one time we won a big settlement and we freaked out because we were in trouble. We played those stakes, and then we had them take it away from us in typical kind of like bait and switch fashion, which felt, at the moment, kind of worked. I felt like dramatically it was effective. But this week was the direct opposite, right? It was like, here's this huge settlement that we get to keep. I know, pending appeal, yada yada, taxes, yada yada. But still, like you said, it was just like they played it more about like, oh, what we did to the tobacco industry, or the alcohol industry, or not even the alcohol industry. This brewery,
this one brewery, right.
Versus, it was more about the political stakes, right, or the personal stakes for Eugene or the family. It was muddied.
But even that felt shoehorned. It's the financial stakes were ignored. The emotional stakes felt rushed and unearned.
But the counterpoint to that, the thing you didn't really mention, but I think obviously I know you'll agree, is I thought they did a really good job, and I want to credit the actor. Who was the brewery's attorney again?
Oh, Itzen.
Yeah,
Michael Itzen, I think. Greg Itzen.
Greg. I thought he really did a great job playing. I won't call it sympathetic, and there was the one kind of schlocky line, villainous line where he's like, "Oh, well,
you don't want your beer to be more expensive."
But I thought, with that exception, I'll throw away the lowest score. I thought he presented a really good case, an effective case. I mean, it's about it.
Yeah,
I thought his case was actually more based in a reality versus sort of ours almost. That's to your point.
and the guy who worked for the beer company, I thought did an excellent job of articulating all of that. And there's a lot of interesting questions about, all right, so you make a product that can be dangerous, isn't inherently dangerous, but can be dangerous. What is your responsibility out in the real world about how you can protect people from the possible dangers? And I think that's, do the alcohol companies do enough there? Hell no. And I think that's a very good
But that's not, right. But that wasn't the case. That's not what we presented.
That's not what it was about. Right.
It was like, look at this picture. Don't we feel bad?
They treated it more like the gun industry, when as directive killed something. Like inherently it's supposed to kill something and make it easier to kill. I don't know. Blah 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 blah.
Also, we didn't talk about the repercussions. The precedent that this case sets is huge, gigantic, enormous.
Well, it takes us right back on the road to prohibition.
Right. And we don't I don't feel like we're going to discuss those stakes. It's more just like, okay.
Well, and like this case, if you wanted us to root for them, it should have been that this beer company, either through their action or inaction, allowed underage kids access to it.
I thought that's what it was going to be. That was
what it should have been. But they wanted to, like, that's not the story they wanted to tell. They wanted to conflate this with tobacco with all these things, and I think that was it was an overreach. It was an overreach on the point of the show. Anyway,
well, you need to give me a number.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you tires. All that said, I did like the episode, so 8.13 spare tires.
So still pretty good.
Oh, yeah, not too bad. All right, so apparently we're going to fade to black.
No, we are black, but are we crashing? No, we're not crashed.
I don't know what's happening.
I'm trying to get us back, but we might be crashing.
Oh, God. Don't crash. We're so close. All we have to do.
Hold on.
do is the Easter egg.
Why is this happening? I can't even change us. Wait, hold on. I might put us back. Okay, hold on. We're back. Hold on, baby.
All right, we're getting there.
Okay, we're there. So, I'm not even editing. That hasn't even been editing. So sorry for those of you just listening. Let's talk about the Easter egg. Keith, is that Dana Carvey in the movie Master of Disguise?
It certainly is.
And how does that relate to us? I literally, is it because I'm wearing a giant old man beard?
No. It is commemorating Gregory Itzon's 4th character on the show. Because the Master of Disguise is Gregory Itzon plus the whole rest of the cast. Everyone here who had a speaking role was practically a 2-timer.
Wow, that's hysterical. Well done. One of your best. One of your finest.
Okay, folks. Whether or not this was the finest episode of the Out of Practice podcast, it is Mike's birthday. And if you would like to wish Mike happy birthday, you can reach us at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com on the social medias, Facebook and Instagram at Out of Practice Podcast. While you're there, wish him happy birthday on Apple Podcasts or any other service of your choice. We'll welcome you to the jury, just for fun. One of the things that we do. I'll tell you, the other thing we do, we're grateful to our founding sponsors, including Jorge Navoa, Cloudlover69, Leanne Wrights, Jennifer Masanova, and Kari Coon.
Did you know you could get your name on that list? I know you want Keith to have to Photoshop something else. You could do so by sending us a little bit of your money. It doesn't have to be a $100 million settlement. It can be a one-time donation of any amount of cents. Or, yeah, that's true. Or a monthly contribution for the remainder of this podcast, which it should only be another 3 to 4 years. What else do I usually talk about here? We appreciate your support. For listening, thanks for the birthday wishes. Do me a favor. Fire off some laser sounds, then go change your costume, fire off some more laser sounds, change it to a 3rd costume, more laser sounds, and then one final 4th costume, and fire off some laser sounds.
Laser sounds.